I've spent most of my life believing that black excellence was something that just existed now and then. You know, you get somebody who's successful, you point to them and say, well, look at them. Look at that success. But what if I told you that there was a time in America when everywhere you looked, you saw black excellence? What if I told you there was an entire town where everybody looked like you and loved each other and supported each other and thrived? It sounds too good to be true. Well, it isn't, and it's happening right now. Welcome to Obscura Time, where we bring you the finest storytelling from around the web. Today, we dive into story they tried to erase. Before I jump into it, though, welcome back to the channel. If you like powerful stories, thought-provoking documentaries, subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Also, please be sure to check out our new platform. With our new platform, you can help us grow while gaining exclusive perks like early access to videos, extended cuts, bloopers, behind-the-scenes content, and more. Go to our website or click the join button below. Let's jump into it. There was a place where black excellence thrived, where hope lived, where dreams weren't just imagined, they were built. It was called Greenwood, but you may know it by a different name, the Black Wall Street. Gee, let me take you back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. The year was 1921. Greenwood wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a movement. It was proof that, in the face of hatred and oppression, black people could create something powerful, something self-sustaining, something beautiful. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, bankers, business owners, all black, all proud, all building an economy that could rival any in America. There were more than 600 black-owned businesses, movie theaters, schools, hospitals, even a private airplane. Yes, a black man owned an airplane in 1921. This was a place where the dollar circulated within the black community up to 36 times before it left. People walked with pride. Children dreamed big. Families felt safe. It was a dream made real. But in America, black success has always made some people uncomfortable. All it took was one accusation, one spark, to burn it all down. May 31st, 1921. A young black man named Dick Rowland stepped into an elevator. A white elevator operator screamed. No one knows exactly what happened, but rumors spread like wildfire. Assault, they whispered. Lynch him, they shouted. A white mob gathered. But black men, many of them veterans who had fought for this country, came to defend Rowland, to protect their community. A shot was fired, chaos erupted, and then the massacre began. For 18 hours, white mobs looted, burned, and murdered. Planes flew overhead, dropping firebombs on American citizens. Yes, the US had its own version of an airstrike, on its own soil, against its own people. More than 35 blocks of black prosperity turned to ash. Thousands left homeless, hundreds killed. Some say more, but the exact number remains buried. Just like the victims, they say bodies were dumped into mass graves, some thrown into rivers. The city covered it up. History books stayed silent, and the survivors? They were silenced. No insurance claims paid, no reparations, no justice. Greenwood, or Black Wall Street, was erased from the American memory, but not from our hearts. Even in the ashes, even in the trauma, even when the world wanted them to disappear, they endured. Survivors rebuilt. They held their heads high. They refused to be broken. But ask yourself, why didn't we learn this in school? Why were we never told that America bombed a black neighborhood? Why were we told that progress for black people had to look like suffering? The story of Black Wall Street is not just a story of loss. It's a story of resistance, of pride, of what black people can build, even when everything is against them. And that's why they tried to erase it. Because erasure Black Wall Street was proof. Proof that we are not just survivors. We are visionaries, leaders, builders. So today, we remember, we honor, and we tell the truth. To every child who never heard this story in school, know this. Your history didn't begin in chains. It began with kings and queens, and even here, on stolen land, your people built empires. The Black Wall Street was one of them. They tried to silence it. They tried to burn it. But we will speak it back into existence, because legacies don't die in fire. They live in the hearts of those who remember. When Dick Rowland exited the elevator, he likely had no idea that his life would end tragically at the center of the Greenwood massacre. In fact, the first indication that anything was wrong was when a white man grabbed his collar and accused him of assault. Rowland denied it, but the damage was done. Rumors of black disloyalty had been swirling since the end of World War I, and the white community was primed for conflict. With the police force overwhelmingly white, most Greenwood residents had little faith in law enforcement. So when the white mob started forming, black men organized a defense. Despite the overwhelming odds, the small group of black men set up barricades and armed themselves with whatever they could find. As news of the impending attack spread, people fled to the safety of the Greenwood area, only adding to the tension. As the night wore on, things started to spiral. 2 white men were killed, leading to even more outrage. By 10 p.m., the violence had reached a fever pitch, with hundreds of white men running through the streets, firing their guns indiscriminately. It was pure chaos. In response, black leaders pleaded for calm and urged everyone to go home. However, the message never got through. The attackers were relentless, burning homes and businesses as they went. The National Guard finally arrived around 4 a.m., but instead of restoring order, they sided with the rioters. One guard even ordered a black man to walk between 2 lines of white men who were shooting at him. By the time the dust settled, Greenwood was gone. In the aftermath, many questions were raised about how such a horrific event could have been allowed to happen. While the official death toll is disputed, historians agree that the massacre was a pivotal moment in American history. The Tulsa race massacre remains one of the deadliest incidents of racial violence in U.S. history. And despite its significance, it remained relatively unknown until recently. But why? Well, the reasons are complex, but one thing is clear. There was a concerted effort to keep the truth hidden. The massacre was swept under the rug, and the story of Greenwood was lost for generations. So why do you think that is? Why do you think they tried so hard to cover it up? Well, for one thing, the massacre was a stark reminder of the deep racial divide in the United States. It showed that even in a supposedly progressive era, white Americans were still willing to resort to violence to maintain the status quo. Secondly, the massacre threatened the image of white supremacy. The prosperity of Black Wall Street was a shining example of what could be achieved when black people were free to pursue their dreams without the shackles of racism. By covering up the massacre, white America was able to protect its own narrative and maintain its grip on power. Finally, it was easier for everyone involved if the massacre was never spoken about. By ignoring the tragedy, white Americans could continue to enjoy the benefits of a segregated society, while black Americans were forced to pick up the pieces and rebuild their lives. As a result, the massacre became a taboo subject, and anyone who dared to talk about it was often met with ridicule or worse. For decades, the story of Black Wall Street was passed down through family stories and folklore. But it wasn't until recently that historians began to uncover the truth and share it with the world. One of the most important things we can do is to make sure that these stories are never forgotten. We need to teach our children about the struggles and triumphs of Black Americans and make sure that we honor the legacy of those who came before us. Only then can we hope to create a better future for ourselves and our children. That was our show. I'm your host. If you liked this episode, hit that like button. If you love this episode, subscribe to the channel and make sure to leave us a comment so we know what you think. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay curious.